So a question that I've gotten more and more since I'm a little bit of an oddity in the hammock community because I use a pad in a hammock is why? Yes, it is absolutely time to throw away all of your underquilts. All right, I know that got a lot of you riled up already, but bear with me. I'll talk about 5 reasons why using a pad in a hammock is superior for me. The number one reason that I've touched on before, but I still kind of get questions about, is versatility. The big reason is there's some trips where I know I'm going to sleep in a shelter, for example, especially in the Smokies, or I'm not sure if I'm going to have trees, which is why this whole thing started for me. And so I wanted the option of still going to the ground, but still getting a good night's sleep. And so for me, that meant I had to have a pad in the hammock so that if I ever went to the ground, it wasn't just my hammock and an underquilt, which does nothing for comfort if you're sleeping on the ground. One thing I haven't touched on too much is the performance of underquilts in absolute wet weather. I don't know if any of you have been out in, absolutely soaking weather where you start to worry about whether or not the rain is coming down so hard that it's bouncing up from the ground and getting your underquilt soaked. Now I've been in weather like that with an underquilt, and trust me, it's not exactly something I like to repeat, or where I start to worry about whether or not my underquilt is going to lose its insulative properties because it's getting too wet. I know they sell underquilt kind of protectors and you can get more of a weather resistant underquilt, but for me, I just didn't want the hassle at all. If you mess up in some way with an underquilt and happen to get it absolutely soaked, with a pad you don't really have that issue. It's still going to keep you insulated, and so I use a Thermarest X-Therm in my hammock, and I don't have any concerns. If it gets wet, it gets wet. If I make a mistake of some kind, it allows me to kind of still be insulated and not have to be concerned about losing insulative properties underneath me. Also, the pad tends to be a lot cheaper. I know I talked before about using an X-Therm in the hammock, which is not a lot cheaper, but I'm using right now this Ridge Rest foam pad from Thermarest, and for me that's a lot cheaper than a comparable kind of down alternative or even a synthetic underquilt a lot of the times. And so overall you can find pads for cheaper, so it's more friendly for beginners. If you're kind of just getting started, a pad and hammock is an easy way to start. Honestly, with pads you also don't have to worry about cold spots because it's consistent the entire way through. You're completely insulated. You don't have to worry about shifting down as well. It's not as fussy, and so you don't have anything to shift because it is what it is. It lays in there and it's not a big deal. So hopefully that helped those of you who are telling me, ditch the pad, Tim. Now I know this makes me more of an oddity, and I always freely admit an underquilt will always be more comfortable than a pad in a hammock. But I just kind of wanted to go over some reasons why I think a pad will continue to be the superior option for me. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.